Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to do a review and demo on two new Rimmel products. The first product that I wanted to talk about was their new lasting Finishe 25-hour breathable foundation. It sounds similar to the name as their other lasting Finishe, also 25-hour foundation, but that was, instead of breathable, that was with comfort serum. I'll link the review and demo I did of that foundation down below. I was like, wait, is this the same foundation? No. It's new, it's different. They have the two different ones on the Rimmel website. I haven't seen this one pop up in like Ulta online, but I did pick this up at Walgreens. And this cost me for about, I want to say about $8, which is not bad. Rimmel has some pretty great prices for their products. And then I also picked up the Lasting Finishe, their 25-hour breathable concealer as well. Personally, I would have liked to have picked up the concealer in the shade Light, but they didn't have it at the time, and you know, it's one of those like new products, let me check it out. So I picked up the shade Fair in the concealer. And in case you're wondering, in the foundation I actually had picked up two different shades, and the other one was like way darker. And this one is the shade 201 Classic Beige, which I also still think was on the maybe darker side for my skin tone. I could have gone maybe a couple shades down, but drugstore, it's always difficult. But I was like, you know what, we're just going to roll with it instead of going out and getting a foundation that matches me perfectly, and I'll tell you why. So the foundation with the bottle, it does not come with a pump. It does twist off, but what it does come with, which is what I'm seeing with a lot of foundations, is a little wand that you can apply the foundation with. And I know some people who are just kind of not into that because you're putting on your face, you're dipping and putting on your face. If that's something you might not like for sanitary reasons, just an FYI about it. I will say that it does have a very strong fragrance. I'm not someone who's sensitive to smell, but this is a pretty strong fragrance, and it's like, it's not my favorite. It's not bad, but it's strong. I know like most foundations have some sort of a fragrance, but it isn't this strong, which, you know, while I'm applying it, I'm just like, whoa, that's strong. So just FYI, if you're sensitive to smells, maybe not gonna like that about this foundation. I did love the price. Rimmel is one of those brands that I would say needs to work on their color options. Like on the website for Rimmel London, they only have about 8 different shades. I want to say I saw more. I can't remember right now, and usually Ulta's pretty good about having all the products, but I haven't seen it in the Ulta website yet. So on the Rimmel London, there's only about 8 shades, and I know in general, when I saw, at least on the display in stores, there wasn't much variety. Like it was like, okay, really light, you know, and then maybe some mediums, and I honestly can't remember if I saw like a really dark shade. So that's always a downfall, I feel like, for Rimmel, something they really need to get on. Same thing for their concealers. I feel like they usually have like fair, light, medium, and whatever you want to consider like dark or whatever, but it's really not that dark. So the foundation is supposed to be lightweight, medium coverage, and breathable. A couple of things I will say about the foundation is that normally I love applying my foundations with a beauty blender. Since I do have dry skin, it just gives that kind of moisture back to my skin. But however, I feel like when applying this with my beauty blender, this makes this foundation super light coverage, like extremely light coverage, where I was like just building so many layers with just using the beauty blender. I was just kind of like, is this gonna cover anything? So instead I moved on to using a brush, and with the brush, I feel like with one layer it's a light coverage, and with 2 layers you get that medium coverage. So I do not agree that right off the bat this provides you with medium coverage. I would say 2 layers with a brush, a really nice packed brush, will get you that medium coverage. And the brush I was using in this video, I honestly cannot remember. I want to say this is my crown brush, kind of like rounded on the top. I think it did do a great job of really packing on that product. The other brush that I was using that I really love is my Wet n Wild, my kind of stippling brush that has more of a flat head. Both of those brushes worked really well with building coverage for this foundation, because as I said, it was really light. So I was like, okay, I don't want to add on like 5,000 layers. At most, I want to add on like 2 layers of foundation. This foundation is more on the watery side, so it's definitely what tells me is more on the light coverage side. Blendability wise, it is pretty easy to blend. However, it doesn't give me like that nice airbrush finish on my dry skin personally. I feel as though it kind of like sits on top of the skin a little bit, accentuates things I don't want it to accentuate. It accentuates my dryness, it accentuates my pores. It's on my face, I feel like it feels more of a like demi matte almost. As usual with most foundations, I try to help it out. The foundations that are looking a little bit dry on me, I'll try to help out with like some Max Fix Plus. I'll use my most hydrating primers. I'll use extra Max Fix Plus, and I just feel like I'm not a big fan of the finish on camera. I think it looks really nice, however it's just not smooth like I would like it, so I would not recommend this so much to dry skin. I think someone with normal to oily skin, you might like this a little bit better. I think this will work for you better. For me, the foundation from Rimmel that I did like was the Lasting Finish 25HR, but the one with the serum, the Comfort Serum, I feel like that was more hydrating. Not only was it hydrating feeling, but it just meshed well with my skin and kind of making it look more plump than dry. This one, it feels hydrating while applying it, but it does dry down a little bit more matte, so it doesn't feel hydrating once it sets, if that makes any sense. So I feel like that's maybe the main reason why I didn't go back and maybe return or try to repurchase a shade closer to mine, because I was like, you know what, I really don't like this foundation all that much. I don't see myself wearing it. I will return this, but once I'm done with this review, because I'm not going to return it to try to get a good color, go through all that trouble just to return it again. So I was like, you know what, we're going to work with what we got, and then I kept the receipt, so we'll be going to Walgreens tomorrow. For my dry skin, I would definitely say this is probably something you should maybe skip. Also, the other thing I was not a fan of is that this does oxidize. So when applying the foundation Classic Beige 201, I did see like it was a hint darker than it should have been. However, once I was done doing my makeup, it looked even darker, almost semi-orange. It was oxidizing. Is not. I was like, ooh, you know, I was like, that's not my bronzer. That's the foundation. It's looking a little bit orange, a little bit too much. Like, I was not a fan of that. So if you do end up liking this, if you want to try it out, I would say maybe go a shade lighter than darker. Usually, sometimes I'd rather go maybe a little bit darker, because sometimes lighter can just make you look like not so good. Or I'll do lighter and I'll do like contouring and all that stuff. But this one, definitely go a little bit lighter, because it most likely probably will oxidize on you. I don't know if on everybody it's going to come off more orange. I know in general, maybe because this color was a little bit darker to start off, it was looking a little bit too warm. So I was like, you know what, extra concealer. Try to fix it so it doesn't look too bad. But it's definitely something I've noticed. Other foundations I've been testing out, not something I've noticed with most other foundations lately, or in general any of the foundations that I really like. With this one, it does oxidize. Fair warning. I will agree, however, this does feel breathable. I put on 2 layers of this foundation, and while it's not the most hydrating on my face, it does feel breathable. It feels lightweight. It does not feel heavy. So if that's a concern of yours, that is something I can definitely agree with their claims they're making for this foundation. The lasting power for my dry skin, I would say it lasts me anywhere from the 6 to maybe 8 hour mark, and that's mostly because it does feel more drying on my skin. It starts to kind of crack off a little bit. It doesn't sit well on it, so it's already just kind of coming apart throughout the day, so it doesn't last me as long. So I'm just like, why do I want a foundation that's only going to last me 6 hours? So, but however, that might not be the problem if you have oily to normal skin. So if you have oily to normal skin, I would say, you know what, check it out, try it out. Honestly, I'm curious to know if it works better for oily to normal skin than it does for dry skin. If you've tried this out, let me know what your skin type is and how you liked it. Then the other product I just want to touch on briefly is the Lasting Finish Breathable Concealer in the shade Fair. I know the shade is probably a little bit lighter than I would like. I would prefer usually on the light side. It's not totally light, so I can still kind of work with it. And I don't know, I just feel like maybe it's a little bit too lightweight. If you're someone who has dark circles, I feel like this isn't really going to cover it. And I don't know, it's easy to kind of blend out, but not really. Like, I've had other concealers I worked with that just blend out and kind of cover something. I know maybe it could be because the shade is so light and I do have dark circles. Maybe I could try the shade Light, but in general, the blendability isn't my favorite. I feel like I really have to kind of work it in there underneath my eyes, and especially maybe the other areas where I like to highlight and stuff. If it, you know, blended out really easily, then I was like, you know what, let me try the shade Light. But because the blendability was only okay, I feel like it was maybe a little bit more on the drying side, like the foundation. It wasn't as hydrating as my other concealers. This is also going to go back to Walgreens. I do, however, will recommend, if you didn't like this one like me, I do love the other Rimmel concealer. I forget what it's called, but it's the one with like the blue packaging. I'll link the review and demo I did of that concealer. I love that concealer for like an everyday concealer or just for anything, but especially for something quick, easy, blend it out, and actually has some coverage. I would definitely recommend that concealer, so I'll link that review and demo down below. So I guess you can kind of mark this as a new drugstore product fails video. These two products I was excited for, especially because I do love Rimmel's prices. They still keep them drugstore friendly, but these two products were definitely not my favorite. I would probably say pass. I'm curious to know if anybody has liked them. Like I said, dry skin, this is for my like dry skin girls. This is my review. Normal to oily skin, maybe there is someone who will like it, so I would definitely say maybe check out some of those videos as well and kind of get some more input before maybe you make your decision. But don't forget to check the description bar. I will make sure to add some of my other products that I do prefer from Rimmel that you guys should definitely try out. Make sure to subscribe to check out some more upcoming drugstore reviews. We've still got some coming. I have picked up some other Rimmel products, their stick contour and highlights, and their new primer, as well as I did order some Milani products. I don't know if you guys saw their eyeshadow palette. I'm so excited for it, so I can't wait for that to come in the mail. Definitely a bunch of more reviews coming up, so make sure to keep up and get those notifications by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.